What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and I'm sorry. I'm I'm so sorry. I just need to accept the fact that Tuchel is not a genius, because every time I think he is, I mean, again, this is the second time this has happened, but come out of a game where we're dominant, we're looking great, looks like no problems, we're the best team. It's going to be easy. Tuchel's got it figured out. He knows what he's doing. And then you go into Man U, and what happens? Decent performance, then terrible mistake from Jorginho gives away the game, and then we get lucky and nick one back from a penalty. So not a great performance there, but you know what? Came away from with a draw. At least it's a point, and it's a game where you can easily get tripped up because it's a Man U team that has just replaced the manager, so they're going to be looking to bounce back. So it's going to be a tough game. Then you go into the Watford game, and we look awful. I mean, we looked slow, we looked dull. It was not at all. It was not a good game. It was just terrible to watch, and we were a terrible team that day. Nobody put in a good performance, really. It was a lucky game to get a result out of. So yeah, coming to this game and hoping for a little bit of just something different. And we didn't get any different. We got a little bit more energy, but my God, the quality today was just, we don't look like a title team. This game for me today shows we're not going to win the title this season. Because City and Liverpool, they don't have these games very often. They'll have them occasionally, maybe one or two where you'll see a little bit of a drop-off in form. They don't quite put in a 100% great performance. But they happen very rarely. We had 3 games in a row where we did not put in a good performance. It was disappointing. Man U was a disappointing result, but okay. Watford, disappointing performance, okay result. And then today, disappointing performance, disappointing result. 3 in a row where Tuchel just no idea what he's doing. So first of all, let's talk about the lineup from him. Because, you bring Jorginho back in after he gave away the game against Man U and then got injured, and then you just bring him right back in because, sure, why not let him get a chance to give away the game today, which he did. Good job, Tuchel. And I get the fact, without Kovacic, without Conte, you're not going to put Saul in after how bad he did against Watford, and then Barkley shouldn't even be considered an option, really. But you've got Mount. You can put Mount in there. That should be an option. The fact that it's not considered an option for me just tells me that he thinks, oh, no, it's fine. Jorginho will turn it around. Look at what happened. He did not indeed turn it around. And then Alonso again on the left side. He was awful against Watford. Just absolutely one of our worst players. And, didn't play well again today. So, you've got Azpilicueta as an option. You've got Pulisic or Hudson-Odoi that you can throw in there, and you didn't use any of them. You're like, oh, I'll give Alonso another chance after he didn't do anything against Man U and then was awful against Watford. I'll give him another chance. Look at what happened. And then in the front 3, you've gone with Havertz up front again, which he was not good against Watford, and he was not good again today. So, congrats, you've gone with another game where Havertz as a false 9 doesn't work for you. Because really, look at the 2 goals we got. Were any of them from open play? Not really. First one from a corner, second one from we win the ball back and Ziyech great crossfield ball to Mount. But Havertz was not involved in any of that. Havertz was not involved in any of our good play. You've got Werner and Lukaku back. Why are you playing Havertz? Pulisic was fantastic as a false 9 against Juventus. Why are you playing Havertz as a false 9? Makes no sense. And then the back 3, Silva and Rudiger obviously are choices, but why is Azpilicueta not featuring now that Chalobah's injured? Why have you gone to Christensen again after he wasn't great against Watford? It feels like these choices should be obvious. It feels like, looking at it, we shouldn't be making these decisions. And yet Tuchel still does it anyway. And then we lose. We drop points. Even if we hadn't lost, we weren't going to win this game because we had gone ahead twice, but we showed we couldn't keep the lead. So even if we scored again and made it 3-2, I would have expected West Ham to come back into it. But then we don't get that third goal, and then they get a lucky deflection, and that's all it took. So for Tuchel, for me, he's in his idiot spell again. I'm sure eventually he'll bounce back at some point, but I'm not gonna get too excited anymore. If we go on a good run again, I'm not gonna get too excited because anytime that I do, this happens. We go on a run where we just have no idea what we're doing. We're shit in the bed constantly, and it's not good. It's embarrassing to watch, really. And again, we're not title contenders this season. Now let's talk about the players because, they've got to share a lot of the blame today too because most of them, they didn't even play as if they were themselves. It seemed like somebody just came in, a little body snatching going on. And honestly, it felt the same way against Watford. It felt like they were just shadows of who they are. Mendy today, I kind of want to rename him to Edouard Arrizabalaga because a lot of Kepa in today's performance. And he's not typically a keeper that does this very often, but this is more than a couple times recently that he's done this. First goal, terrible from Jorginho. Stupid pass, put him under pressure, but just kick it out. But he doesn't. He takes a touch, he tries to shield it, takes a bad touch, and then goes sliding in, takes him out for the penalty. So dumb decision there. Second goal, not a bad hit. It does come through Christensen's legs, but it's a shot from outside the box, and typically Mendy doesn't let those in. And then the third one, there's a deflection, but he's still just kind of planted on his heels like Kepa, and oh no, and then kind of lunged at it and tried to catch it instead of just getting a hand out there and just parrying it away. So the second and third goal is not necessarily his fault, but also stuff that I expect him to save because he's a world-class keeper. All this talk about him should be in the running for Ballon d'Or, I agree, but today's performance did not reflect that. Today's performance was, again, a shadow of his former self. So I don't know what happened to him today, but God, he was awful. And it wasn't even just the goals. It wasn't even just the giveaway that led to the penalty. There were several moments where he looked nervous. The cross comes in, and he's just planted on his goal line, and then it bounces in the 6-yard box. And then he goes up, and he doesn't even catch it. He just parries it away. I'm just like, what are you doing? Who are you? What have you done with Mendy? Because you are not him. And then in the back line, and Christensen, like I said, it should have been a Azpilicueta today with Chalobah out injured. It should have been a Azpilicueta, and Christensen showed why. Because slow, just constantly out of position. It wasn't like he was the worst defender that we had, because there's another one that shocked me with how bad he's been the past couple games. But still, Christensen's not good enough. And that second goal, good example as to why. He doesn't come out looking to put his body on the line, comes out, turns his back, and then it goes right through his legs because he's not really looking to put himself in front of the shot. And then there were just several moments where you can tell he's not really connected with James, he's not really connected with Silva. Several moments where it just seems like he's not good as one of those. In a back three, you've got your two flanking backs with Silva kind of dropped a bit deeper. He's not good as one of these two. He does okay in the center, but he's not good whenever he has to be one of the outer of the center three. And it showed again today. He's not that defender. Azpilicueta is. Azpilicueta should be in there. Or even James. If you want to throw James in there and put Hudson-Odoi out right, whatever. But it should not be Christensen there. And he had another performance today that showed me why that should not be him. Silva was okay throughout. He was probably one of our better players on the field. Just because still has that sense about him, still knows where to position himself. But fitness and his athleticism today really hurt us. He's not as good whenever it comes to having to run back, ball over the top. And unfortunately, we were leaving ourselves very open because of how, disconnected our midfield was from our defense. So several moments where the ball does go over the top, and he's just not as good at tracking back in those instances. So it's unfortunate for him, but I thought overall he did okay today. Had several moments where he had to step up and be that sense of calm in the back line because the other two were not giving him that. And with that note, on to Rudiger, because holy crap, has he been bad the past couple games. It's funny because after actually before the Man U game, I saw an article, and it was like listing the 6 world-class players between Chelsea and Man U. And it was funny because they put Ronaldo, Fernandes, and Varane in for Man U, but for Chelsea it was like Mendy, Conte, and I think it was the other one. I think Mount, maybe Lukaku. I don't remember. But Rudiger was not mentioned in the world class, and Varane was, and I remember thinking, why not? I mean, Rudiger this season has been playing world class. Against Watford? Against West Ham? Maybe it's just teams that start with a W, but oh my God. This is not Rudiger. This is not Antonio Rudiger. Who replaced him? Who replaced Antonio Rudiger? Because this is not him. Constantly diving into challenges, constantly turned off, constantly just, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to stand here and oh no, now I'm beat. What is this? Who is this person? Because this is not Antonio Rudiger. This is not the defender that I've come to enjoy seeing play. The second goal, completely him. Ball is bouncing. It's kind of up in the air. What is Rudiger doing? Standing about 5 yards away on his heels. So when the ball gets poked away by Soufal and lands at Bowen's feet, who is right next to Rudiger, instead of a typical Rudiger performance where he's on it, turned and going with him so he can block the shot. Oh, wow. I should have gotten to that. Darn. What is this? And just several moments where it felt like, in this one and against Watford, because obviously I didn't do a review of that one, but against Watford, Dennis was eating him alive. Alonso too, but typically Rudiger loves going up against a guy like Dennis because he's fast and he's strong, and Rudiger's like, okay, so am I, let's go. But against Watford, he was just completely beaten, completely useless against Dennis. And the goal that Dennis scored came from him. He doesn't close him down quick enough, stands off of him, and then it deflects and goes in. Because he wasn't ready. He wasn't going to him. He wasn't pressuring him like Rudiger normally does. Today, Bowen, Soufal, Souček, all of them that came down that side, it was like they were playing against Man U. They were playing against Lindelof or Maguire. They're just like, okay, yeah, easy, no problem. What happened to Rudiger? What has happened to him over these past couple games that he has put in 2 terrible performances? So, yeah, backline today killed us several times, including Mendy, and that, it shows by the scoreline. But wingbacks, useless today. Alonso had a terrible game against Watford. Again, Dennis ate him alive, couldn't keep up with him, and didn't do anything. But that was a game that was not really tailored to him because we kept a lot of possession in our backfield, where typically when we keep possession in the attacking third, Alonso's very useful because he's a good attacking player. But when you keep a lot of possession in your defensive third, Alonso's not going to help you out there because he typically just runs down the field and then you don't have an option, you don't have an outlet here. Today was his game. We kept so much possession in the final third, so many passes knocked around the box, still useless. This game was tailor-made for him. I remember thinking after the Watford game, not a good game, but I could see him getting better if we can move the ball down the field and keep it down there more in the next game. We did that today. Still didn't see anything from him. Crossing, not good enough. Didn't reach any targets, just very useless. Defensively, not good enough. And it's pretty obvious he's not fast or strong enough against most attacking players. So, yeah, just completely useless today. And then James, who's gotten so much praise for his performances this season, just fell right back into mediocrity. After that Juventus performance, I was praising him because I've always had issues with his work rate. But I thought it was a great game from him. I thought it was exactly what I wanted to see. He was working hard, giving everything, and obviously his quality on the ball is fantastic. But then you go into the Man U game, and he's just kind of there. Didn't really do anything to help us. He was just there. And then he sat out against Watford, and then he comes in today and useless. Not really outside very often, so he's not giving any options. He's coming inside and on the ball, he's not showing any of the typical quality that we expect from him because he's playing so slow. He's playing at like 60% today. And it showed because he was useless. There's several moments where I'm just thinking, this is what I've come to expect from James. I mean, I hate to say it, but this is the type of performance that I've seen from him before that makes me go, yeah, he's good. He's good on the ball, but I'd rather have Aspilicueta out there because he'll give you 110% all the time. So, back five was awful. And then you get into the midfield. Jorginho, another game. Again, the Man U game, didn't talk about it in a review, but, I mean, the goal is him. You've dropped him back as the only person, for some odd reason. Ball gets cleared up in the air, and so many options he could have taken. But what does he try to do? I'll just take this ball out of the air, no problem. Oh, God. And then even after that, what does he do? Oh, I missed it. Darn. Jorginho, everyone. Third place in the Ballon d'Or. Jorginho. This is how you know they don't look at performances. They look at trophies. Because Jorginho shouldn't even be anywhere near the Ballon d'Or. He should not be in the top 200 players for Ballon d'Or. Because my God, is he awful. And today, what did we get? More of the same. First goal, he's like, you know what? I didn't play against Watford. I didn't get a chance to assist the other team. Time to do it again. Terrible pass, right to the perfect midpoint between Bowen and Mendy. I don't know if that's what he was going for, but if he was, fantastic, because he nailed that hospital pass. It was the perfect pass to put the two of them right equidistance from each other. So that's awful. And then you've got just constantly side to side. Nothing from him. And it's a complaint that people, not just me, have had about him before. Because most Chelsea fans aren't that critical of him. Most Chelsea fans love him. I actually saw a tweet today from the Troll Football account. It's like, Jorginho is Chelsea's Fred. Not really. Because Fred is a player that he makes a lot of mistakes, and the Man U fans hate him for it. Jorginho makes a lot of mistakes. Chelsea fans still love him for some reason. I don't get it. As a fan, I don't trust him. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's good enough to play in the Premier League. Shown several times why he's not good enough. Several games where we've lost or we've drawn, and it's his fault. Yes, the team it's a team sport. Everybody has to play well together. Everybody has to do their part. But how many games have we lost because of Jorginho's mistake? Should we have scored outside of it? Yes. But he's given away games before. He's given away goals before. The West Brom game where we lost 5-3 because Silva got sent off. Both of those cards that Silva got came from Jorginho passing it to a West Brom player. Arsenal, the game where they were terrible. We were starting to look fantastic. And then we lost 1-0, and that started Arsenal's comeback and got them back up into the top half of the table. It came from Jorginho, passed it, kept us here, passed it at the goal. He took a shot, and then Kepa has to come across and make the save. I don't get it. I don't understand why Jorginho does not get blasted more often, because he's a terrible player. And today showed it again. First goal, mostly his fault. Terrible pass. Yes, Mendy should do better after that initial, he wins the ball. But Jorginho puts him under that pressure. Jorginho makes him make that mistake because he said, hey, Come and get it. Second goal, Rudiger, yes, turned off. Should have had track of Bowen. Shouldn't have turned off. Shouldn't have lost his man. Where's Jorginho? Standing at the top of the box as well. Standing and watching. Third goal, Loftus-Cheek has to come across and guard Masuaku because James is just stuck 1v2. Even though Jorginho is supposed to be the defender of the two midfielders, Loftus-Cheek is not really a defensive midfielder. He's more of your box-to-box. So Jorginho should be the one seeing that James is guarded by two men and go, okay, well, let me go help him. Not guarded, whatever. But just nothing from him. And on the ball, side to side. Nothing attacking, nothing penetrating, nothing to help us find the goal. So, as long as Jorginho's one of our options in the midfield, I'm not going to be confident that we're going to win the game. I'm always going to feel like there's that chance he can give the game away for us. He can assist the other team because it's what he does. Loftus-Cheek had some good moments, but he's in a bad run of form right now. The Man U game, he was pretty bad. He wasn't really useful. The game against Watford, he was terrible. Constantly giving the ball away, just couldn't keep possession in the midfield. And then today he was better than he was against Watford, but still not really great. You know, when he gets in the final third, that's where he doesn't know what he's doing. It's kind of useless. And we need that player that gets box to box, like Kovacic. Kovacic, not always great in the final third, but he still keeps the ball moving. Loftus-Cheek oftentimes gives it away. That final touch, that final pass is typically to a defender or he's getting tackled off the ball. Kovacic at least will keep possession. So, yeah, he's got to improve there because it's something that we needed from him today because he was doing okay keeping possession in the midfield, but then did nothing with it really. Then to the front three, Havertz, I've already talked about how bad he was today, and yeah, another terrible performance. He was terrible against Watford. He's not a false nine, so stop using him there. You've got Werner and Lukaku back. Stop using him as a false nine. Pulisic is a better false nine than he is. What his game is dropping deep, receiving it, and then making something happen. When you put him as a striker, he tries to get him behind, and he doesn't do it well. If he checks two, great. Now he's got two defenders on him. He doesn't have time to make something happen. Loses the ball. So Havertz's performances are really on Tuchel because he has no business using him as a false nine anymore. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. I guess I'll talk about Ziyech next. Ziyech played decently enough against Watford. I can't remember. I think he was subbed on against Man U. May have been subbed on against Watford as well, but I just remember against Watford he was one of our better players. He came on with a lot of energy, and he's looking much more the player that I've expected him to be over the past few games. He's probably the only one that I feel like hasn't dropped form, where most everybody else has at some point. And today, solid enough, didn't really do anything with it, unfortunately, but his work rate was fine, and, assisted Mount on the goal. It was brilliant crossfield ball. But yeah, his work rate overall has gotten better, but I think we needed it a bit more consistently today. There were too many times where it felt like he gets that final pass or final cross, and it just wasn't quite good enough. And then Mount today was probably our best player, not just the goal, but his work rate, constantly trying to make stuff happen. The only problem that he had today was just he didn't have a whole lot of help around him. So he wins the ball back, but then doesn't have an option, so it gets poked off of him. Does well to make something happen on the ball, and then doesn't really have an option to cross to or doesn't have a pass to find, so ends up having to turn into trouble or ends up having to go backwards. So, he was trying to make stuff happen, but just nobody else was really helping him today. So not much he could have done to help save the game, but he did about as much as he could have done on his own, and obviously the goal was fantastic. Subs that came on, first Lukaku came on for Havertz at halftime because Havertz went off injured. And another performance where he's just not good enough. He's not been good enough. He just keeps not being good enough. And yeah, we went and panic bought a striker because we thought we needed one. We Should have held out for somebody else, but no, we're just like, yeah, we'll just bring Lukaku back. It'll be fine. He's doing well in Italy, guys. I mean, come on. Italy's the same as the Premier League, right? I mean, it's so easy to play in Italy. Surely it'll be easy to play in England too, right? So yeah, he's just, I mean, I don't think he's good enough to be in the Premier League. I don't think he's a Premier League striker. And it showed at Man U, it shows here, he's not good enough. So until Tuchel sees that and stops using him, I mean, we're going to struggle in games where he's in. Hudson-Odoi, I think was the next one. Yeah, because Pulisic was the last one. Hudson-Odoi came on and started off as a front three. Don't really remember much from him when he was in the front three. When he switched over to left wing back, I thought he was a little bit better, and that's just mainly because he had space out wide to get on the ball and try to make something happen. When he was in the front three, it felt like he wasn't really getting on the ball very much because it was so compact in there. And unfortunately, that's not really his game. So when he got out wide, he looked a little bit better. Crosses could have been a bit better today. I felt like there were several moments where he had an opportunity to make something happen, and his cross wasn't good enough. But at least he was providing an option out left, which is something Alonso wasn't really giving us. And then Pulisic came on, that pushed Hudson-Odoi out, and Pulisic just didn't really give us much in the middle. Again, it was very compact in there, so not really expecting somebody like Pulisic, who's much more of a winger who does well running into space. It's just not his game. So, yeah, he came on and just wasn't very effective for us. But, I mean, again, we set ourselves up to be in that position where West Ham could pack it in against us because we did it to ourselves. You know, we went ahead. It wasn't a great performance, but we went ahead, got that goal off the corner. Should have been fine, but then stupid from Jorginho and Mendy gives away a goal, brings West Ham right back into it, and then we get that great goal at halftime, but then come out second half slow and dull, and West Ham are building up momentum, working back into the game. They get that goal. Now they've got the momentum. We look terrible, and then it just takes a lucky deflection, and Mendy's off his form today, and boom. 3 points dropped. Liverpool, Man City, probably going to go ahead of us today. It's where we are. It's where we are as a club. We're not consistent enough to challenge for the title. We have too many of these performances in us, too many of the Watford performance, too many of the Man U, the Man City, Juve first game, too many of those performances in us to really challenge for the title this season. So that's just where we are. Tuchel's not a genius. I'm taking it back. He's not. He's an idiot again, and that's about all I have to say about that. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on the game today? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Chelsea reviews, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.